Ahoy, sailors and landlubbers who just really like shiny hulls and salty stories. Today we're diving into the world of classic cruising legends, boats so timeless they make modern yachts look like they just installed TikTok. We're counting down the top 5 old sailboats that still absolutely rock. The ones that might creak a little, might smell faintly of diesel and varnish, but can still cross an ocean in style. So grab your rum ration, hoist your metaphorical mainsail, and let's get into it. Alright, starting off with a boat that's as honest as they come, the Pearson 365. Built in the mid-70s, this thing is basically the Chevy Suburban of the sea. It's rugged, roomy, and ready for absolutely anything. Pearson basically started the fiberglass revolution when everyone else was still cutting down trees. Designed by Bill Shaw, the 365 wasn't made for showing off at the local yacht club. It was made for real-world cruisers, the kind of people who actually go places, fix their own engines, and maybe have a dog named Bosun. It's got a ketch rig, so 2 masts for a bit more flexibility and balance, and an interior that feels like a cozy little cabin that you could live in forever. Now, she's not fast. Think more Tortoise and Sperry topsiders than hair on foils. But she'll get you there, and she'll do it comfortably. If the Pearson 365 were a person, it would be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Wise, dependable, maybe a little rough around the edges, but you trust him with your life and your mainsail. These show up for sale anywhere from $5,000 upward to 30 or 40, depending on how well kept they've been for the last few decades. Now let's talk about a boat that basically started the cruising revolution, the Westsail 32. In the 1970s, this boat inspired thousands of people to quit their jobs, sell everything, and chase the horizon. The company even had a slogan, Westsail the world. And honestly, it worked. Some folks actually did it. Most just bought the brochure and dreamed. But that's the kind of power this boat had. It made people believe. The Westsail 32 is built like a tank with sails. Heavy displacement, full keel, thick fiberglass, and enough storage for a year's worth of canned beans and bad decisions. You won't win any races, but if there's a gale blowing, you'll be the last one still making coffee. The Westsail 32 is the Frodo Baggins of sailboats. Small, determined, maybe a bit slow, but it will take you all the way to Mordor, or, Tahiti. It's the boat that launched 1,000 dreams and probably 1,000 epoxy repair kits. The boat that inspired the design of every other boat that was drawn after it. You can find these for sale from about $30,000 on up in various states of upgrade and repair. And something very cool is you'll find them for sale all over the world. These are the boats that never sat still. We found one in New Brunswick, another one in Mexico, and of course an example you can pick up in Florida. Alright, next up, a true sailor's boat, the Alberg 37. Designed by Carl Alberg back in the 1960s, the Alberg 37 has those perfect classic lines, long overhangs, narrow beam, and that soft sheer that looks just right. This is the boat that could be in a museum, but would probably rather be crossing the Gulf Stream, and she actually sails really well. Unlike a lot of older full keel boats, the 37 can move. She points upwind, handles beautifully, and looks amazing doing it. If you end up in an ocean crossing drag race with one of these, put your money on the Alberg. Inside, it's cozy, wood everywhere, a layout that's tight but practical, and that faint smell of teak oil and adventure. It's not a condo, it's a ship. If the Alberg 37 were a person, it'd be Sean Connery's James Bond. Classy, capable, and maybe a little dangerous if you underestimate it. There are still plenty of Alberg 37s cruising today, and that tells you everything you need to know about how well they were built. They just last. These come in all sorts of states of repair and upgrade, and you might find one for free if you're willing to do the work to bring her back, but we found a good one for $60,000 down in La Paz. Talk about a rock star. Alright, number 2. The boat that changed everything, the Valiant 40. Designed by Bob Perry, who's basically the Mick Jagger of boat designers, the Valiant 40 broke all the rules. Before this boat, blue water cruisers were slow but safe, or fast and fragile. Perry said, why not both? And boom, the modern performance cruiser was born. The Valiant 40 showed the world that you could have a tough, ocean-capable battle axe that actually moves. When it hit the scene in the mid-70s, it was like the Millennium Falcon showing up to a marina full of horse-drawn carriages. Fast, tough, and a little bit scruffy looking, but man, it could fly. These boats have circumnavigated the globe more times than you can count. They've been through storms and races and decades of hard living. Early models had some blister problems due to a resin issue, but most were repaired, and the ones still out there today are legends. The Valiant 40 is what you buy when you're stopped dreaming about sailing around the world and you're actually going to go and do it. You'll find these for sale all over the planet, but you'd better bring your wallet. A cheap one might run you 80 grand. A good one, a really good one, upwards of $200,000. And finally, in the #1 spot today, the Hinckley Bermuda 40. This one is in a class of its own. It's not just a sailboat, it's a work of art. Nothing else does it like this boat does. Designed by Bill Tripp and built by Hinckley in Maine, the Bermuda 40 is what happens when you combine Yankee craftsmanship with old school elegance. It first launched in the late 1950s, and even today, decades later, it still turns heads in every harbor. It's got those perfect lines, that bright work that makes you want to grab a rag and start polishing, and that deep, graceful soul that modern boats just don't have. Sailing one feels like driving a vintage Aston Martin, smooth, powerful, and classy enough to make everyone around you jealous. Of course, it's not cheap. Even the old ones cost more than your first house probably did. But hey, that's the price of perfection. If the Bermuda 40 were a person, it'd be Don Draper. Polished, suave, always the best looking thing in the room, or the anchorage. It's not about how fast you get there, it's about how good you look doing it. You want one? It won't be cheap. We found a 68 for 150 grand, a 67 for 195. You can find some cheaper examples of these boats, but the prices are all over the map, like a fine wine. These are actually aging gracefully. So there you have it, the top 5 old sailboats that still absolutely rock. From the rugged Westsail 32 to the refined Bermuda 40, these boats prove one thing: classic never goes out of style. So you could buy a brand new fiberglass spaceship with Bluetooth winches and lithium banks and a built-in espresso machine, but where's the romance in any of that? There's something about an old boat, the smell of wood, the creak of the hull, the way she heels in a gust, that makes sailing feel real. There's a confidence in knowing that this boat has been doing this thing since I was in diapers, so no matter what I put her through, she's seen worse. These were built in an era when craftsmanship mattered, when sailors crossed oceans with sextants and not satellites. And maybe that's why we still love them today. So tell me, what's your favorite classic sailing boat? Would you take a Westsail to the South Pacific or a Bermuda 40 just to turn heads at the local yacht club? Let me know in the comments. And while we're looking at these classics, have you seen the article that Doug did on the Albin Ballad 30? The 30-foot racer cruiser from the 70s is a rare thing to see in North America. More than 1,500 of these were built though, and the boat retains an active, adoring fan base, mostly in Northern Europe. A great read if you're up for some learning today. I'll leave a link to the article below. If you like sailboat videos, let YouTube know by giving this one a thumbs up, and hit subscribe so that I can see you again next time.